Trade Genius.
What's going on, guys? Philip at Trade Genius. Hope you're having a good weekend. I wanted to point out something on the GBTC premium that we haven't seen in a while, and it doesn't generally print very often, but when it does, you really want to take notice on it. So I'm going to point that out in this video. Again, you can get this indicator when signing up for our service. It comes with any new signups will give you access to this. It gives you a really good indication of market sentiment in Bitcoin, and I think also too in the overall stock market, because it's really investor sentiment driven, and it kind of goes along with stock sentiment as well. So anyway, if you're interested in that, head over to our website, check out. All you need to do is even get just special number one, $3.99. That's the whole year. And you can get this indicator. So check that out. So what I'm getting at here, folks, is when we see a print below the 0.08 or 8% premium value. So, if people are bullish on GBTC or otherwise Bitcoin, you're going to see a large run up in premium. And what this means is people are willing to pay 30 to 40% over the spot price of premium. Why do they do that? Because it's just a matter of convenience. They can get exposure to Bitcoin through their stock brokerage accounts. So TD Ameritrade, E-Trade, things like that, Schwab. And what that does, it gives them the exposure to that volatility. It also gives them, each share is 0.0009 BTC, so it's a fractional share of Bitcoin. But again, it's really the only way to get that into your stock portfolio account. So that's why you see some of the large markups in premium. So what we've just printed on Friday was a sub 0.08% premium. Now, normally when we get that, you generally will see most of the times you'll see a gap up on Monday. Okay, and so we got a gap, a sub 8% reading here. You'll notice that was an excellent spot to get into. Another one here, it gaps up. Again, another opportunity to take profit there. You had one here, another gap up. You had one here, another gap up. So they don't print a whole lot, but they are an indication, and you should at least get an alert on this. You can set up an alert on that premium and just say, I want to be alert when it's south of 8.08, and you'll get an alert, and then you can take action on that. So I'm just talking about sub 08 readings since we just got one. Here's another one here, right? Gap up. Another one here. You got a gap up and some nice follow through. You had one here. Now this is the end of 18. I'm showing you this because nothing's perfect, right? But this is a great, more often than not, this is just an awesome buy signal. So you still want to have stops and everything, like all entries should have stops. But as we got toward the last, this was the capitulation move of the 2018 bear market. You'll notice that this reading here is one of the few, in fact, probably the only one I can show you that just got run over. And that ended the bear market on that move down. And then off we went. Subsequent readings that went below 8% on the premium actually were decent entries. If you looked at, say, this entry here, that had a gap up. This entry here had a nice move up. And this entry here also had a gap up with a lot of follow through. And we're at, if you notice, the very bottom of the bear market there, which went along with typical post-halving peak timing areas as well. So there was a lot of reasons to get long down in that area. There was another one after that, again, another gap up. So you see there's a lot of gap up action. What's interesting about this particular reading, now normally I would say this is a great spot to get long, but we're not seeing this gap up that we typically see. Now that could change between now and when the market opens tomorrow at 9:30, sure. But usually we've already put in a nice weekend gap by now higher, and we just haven't seen that. We're about where we closed on Friday. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind. Again, that could change. We could see some buying into the end of the day here, but right now I'm just not seeing the indication. So what does that mean for one of these very bullish readings on GBTC? Well, one thing that may happen that you get is this actually turns into an area of where they start to build a base. So you don't jump up right away. You may do some dancing down in this area along with the price of Bitcoin, build a base, and then you start to move higher. That would be the most probable outcome post-halving. The other thing that's weird is that we have this real tight correlation to the stock market. We still have it, and I've showed you guys that on the last video. just a lot of just very tight knit correlation with the stock market. And the problem with that here is because the stock market has really had a problem making any higher highs lately. It's been a series of higher lows. So it looks to me that we could possibly get into that segment of the market where when we enter into a recession, you go into a phase of, it's not that dramatic drop that we saw back in February, where this very violent drop, and it affected all asset classes, including Bitcoin. But you get into this series of lower highs and lower lows, and it goes on for a while. And people, and if that happened, it wouldn't be too big of a surprise. I mean, there's just not a lot of positive news coming out in the stock market or related to the stock market as far as fundamentals, GDP. The infection rate on the virus isn't going away. ICU loads are increasing in parts of the country, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of reasons why we can see more chances of downward price action on the stock market than up. And that will translate to Bitcoin and in turn GBTC as this progresses. So we're at an interesting point in time for us to have a reading like this. The other thing I want to point out is that you notice here we had our big drop. We had a lot of heavy readings in our green band, which is typically your buy zone historically for getting long GBTC. Usually when you're getting long in here, even on a swing trade, you're not underwater very long and price rebounds out of there. So, but we're spending some time again back into that, right? And so what I'm looking at then is, okay, where have we seen this before? When we go into the green band like this, we pop out of it and then we dip back in, because normally we're not down in this area very much, right? And you'll notice this is another area that looks similar, where we dipped into it, we poked out of it, and then we dip back into it, because you just don't spend a lot of time down in this area. You did a little bit here, but you're out of it, and then you did a little bit here and you're out of it for a while. Here's an extended time spent in it, similar to this area here. We pop out of it like we did here, and now we're dipping back into it like we did here. And you'll notice that even though you come out of this and you spend some time up here, the pressure is still down on the price of GBTC. So one thing I am going to say about this recent price action is we could see something similar here. In fact, I think it's leaning toward that, where we don't get this immediate price move up, and we could actually see price consolidate and possibly get some lower lows actually on the price of GBTC, which would also reflect a lower price on Bitcoin. So while this is normally very, very, very bullish, I think we have to be on guard because of just the climate and what's going on with the correlation of the stock market, that we actually come down, we can test down to the into the 8,000s, and I think that's not going to be very surprising here. Okay, so I think this reading is an exception, one of the few times where actually you don't see that immediate reaction, and if you don't, it's actually a big heads up, because when you don't see a reaction off the minus 8% premium reading, those are times when you can risk getting that signal run over. As I showed you, you've only seen that once on this chart going back to 2018. But I think the possibility is here for that. So you just be on guard on that. And if that drops, I think most of the alt market, which has had a very good up move, is going to follow suit as well. And we've had some indications that the alts are topping out, as the stochastic and other timing things are basically at a point where the alt market takes a break and pulls back. Again, these are all very good times to reload, and when these pullbacks are done, I think that's probably going to be the lows for a while on a lot of these coins, especially Bitcoin. Once this last pullback is done, I think that's going to be it. It's going to be your last call for alcohol for Bitcoin under 10 grand, and you're going to see it leave the sub $10,000 level for good. A lot of people have been calling for that for a while now. We've been above it, but I think this last dip and then this next move over it truly will be the last one. And I don't think it'll be violent. I think it'll just be a steady grind higher, because that's typically the price action you see once you get a ways out from the halving and price stabilizes and then it starts to make its move into the next halving cycle bull run. So that's how I see the larger picture playing out. Again, the caveats are we've never really seen Bitcoin go through a recession. Certainly haven't seen it go through a global pandemic before, and we have not seen it correlated to the stock market so tightly. which I would blame on larger institutional size investments into Bitcoin being the case for that, which is actually a good thing, right? We'd like to have that, but not as much of a correlation to the market. And historically, when there's been a recession crash back in '08, gold, similar price action, and Bitcoin for now is effectively gold 2.0. And you see them break off toward the end of this downward part of the cycle as the recession enters its final phase, and then it moves up and it leads the market higher. And I would expect to see the same thing because most of the time these cycles do repeat. So there you have it. Very bullish signal print on GBTC. However, I would be on guard against this not necessarily moving up right away or a limited upside move, and then we see some more downside, even though the premium may drift higher, okay, similar to what we saw back here. You can have a drift up and not get to the extreme readings and still have a lower price on GBTC and the price of Bitcoin, and that would most likely be due to just a bearish stock market. But at the end of the day, when you zoom out, these are still going to be big levels that you're going to do very well from. Okay, so more so the shorter term trader would be affected by this. Longer term, you're just not going to do badly when you accumulate Bitcoin in these green bands over time. Okay, it's just the bigger picture when you zoom out is just there's very, very good price levels to be accumulating Bitcoin at. So anyway, guys, again, you can get this indicator. I think it does a good job of not only Bitcoin, but market sentiment as far as how investors are, as far as being bullish on the short term, bullish or bearish on the stock market in general, because we do see also the stock market react when we get these extreme readings as well to the broader stock market. All right, guys, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please hit like and subscribe. It really helps out our channel. I'll see you guys on the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.
Trade Genius.